PG class or Srimad Bhagavad. Prabhu, I want to share the screen. Can you give me the rights, please? Hare Krishna. मम ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. देहं गुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगण रघुनाथं तं तं सजीवं सादयितं साधुतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादां सहगण ललितां श्रीविशाखावतं च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्ते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Bhagavad Gita class. Right now we are doing the second chapter, and in second chapter we are majorly focusing on shloka number 17. Majorly focusing on shloka number 17 to till 21. So this will we are still in this area where we are talking about the soul and the body, difference between soul and body, where we understand the properties of soul, properties of body, and why Arjuna should fight. So today we will cover to shloka number 17 to 14. Let's go to the shloka numbers 17. So avinashi tu tadvidi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasham avyayasya na kaschit karatu maharati. Avinashi means imperishable, which will not undergo any destruction. And avyaya means imperishable. And sarvam, all of the body. So, so in the next verse, we will see that it is more about the body and the possessor of the body. But here we are talking about what is pervading the body and why it is indestructible, or what is that which is indestructible. So Bhishma and Drona and other kings, their body will be destroyed in the war. But what is indestructible, which is occupying the bodies of Bhishma and Drona, is the soul. According to Mayavada, the sarvam, that which is put here, is referring to the material world. But our Ramanujacharya, who is a Vaishnava Acharya, according to him, what is talked here is the body, and what pervades the body is indestructible. So there is a connection between pervading something and imperishable. So there is indestructible and imperishable. So there is a link between this. So there is something which is undergoing a destruction and something which is pervading, and there is something called as indestructible. So if we understand this, and why it is integrated in this verse, it will be very nice. So if we see, usually an object gets destructed by when it is penetrated or pervaded by something else. For example, bullet enters us, it destroys us. Water enters our lungs, it destroys us. Termites, ants, infections enter tree, it destroys it. Infection enters into our body, it destroys it. So poison enters our body, it destroys it. So there is consciousness in our body which is spread all over. But when something makes this body unfit so that the consciousness cannot pervade in the body, then the consciousness is not no more in the existing in the body, or the soul gives up this body. So the entry of the bullet or water into a lungs or infection in a body results in pervasion of poison or no when there is no oxygen in the blood becomes poison. When bullet enters into our body, the organs fail, so it becomes unfit for soul to stay in the body. So the soul cannot pervade or remain penetrated in a body. That is why the soul lives. So soul cannot be destroyed by pervasion or penetrating. It can be only the no, body which will get destroyed. So this characteristic of Atma is indestructible. That is what we need to understand. What is getting killed is the body. So when Arjuna is going to shoot arrows at the enemies, he is going to kill, make the body in which the consciousness is pervading unsuitable for the consciousness to remain pervaded. So that is why it leaves the body. So the consciousness which pervades through the body, that is what we understand as sarvam. That is what we understand as sarvam here. So this consciousness is nothing but the energy which is pervaded throughout the body or emanated throughout the body. And there is something called as jivatma and there is something called as paramatma. The consciousness within the body is pervading the um, is because of the existence of jivatma. There is super soul which is pervading the entire universe. So we see in the creation of the universe, it is only when Mahavishnu enters or the Vishnu enters the space respective universe, the universe comes into existence. Okay, so this is how we need to understand the soul. So ena tarvam idam tatam. So that means when we take some medicine, it pervades the entire body through blood flow. And so when we take food, the energy is transferred throughout the body by blood flow. So the consciousness also spreads all over the body, because it is the energy from the heart goes to the brain remains intact. Brain is the seat of consciousness, and consciousness acts throughout the body, pervades throughout the body by the complete nervous system. So all this is being told to Arjuna so that Arjuna understand that he need not have to lament, because what he is killing is the body and not the possessor of the body. So now Prabhupada here is quoting about from Shvetashvara Upanishad, which is talking about the size of the air, size of the soul. So size of the soul is 100 uh, parts. First, the tip of the air is divided into 100 parts. Then each of that part is further divided into 100 parts. So it becomes 10,000, 1 by 10,000th part of the tip of the hair. So there are two ways in which we can understand. One is the literal sense, where we can understand it is a definite size. So this brings the insight. The dimension is very small. The other one is metaphorical. So some people may ask, some hairs are thicker, some hairs are small, but we need to understand that fundamentally, metaphorically, it tells that the size of the hair is very thin, and when we slices into 10,000 parts, it is extremely small. So there is one more shloka which Prabhupada is quoting, which also talks about the size of the soul. Okay, now, so is soul amorphous spray? No, it is not amorphous spray, but it is a definite particle which is spreading all over the world. That is also getting confirmed from this reference which Prabhupada is talking about. Now, there is shloka from Mundaka Upanishad. Esho anur atma chetasya veditavyo yasmin prana panchand sagna yasmin vishuddhe vivavati esha atma. So here, okay, here it is clearly telling that we cannot understand it by, we cannot understand the soul by our material faculties. We require spiritual intelligence. So this is very important for us to understand. We talked about the Atha Yoga system and the five airs which are there, which balances the soul at the place where all this balance is equal to zero. That is the place where Atma is situated. So Hatha Yoga system helps us to lift the life as and push it out of the top of the head, push the prana from the top of the head so that we get liberated. So, yeah, but for us, easier one is Bhakti Yoga. We need not have to practice any Hatha Yoga process. Yeah, so this is majorly this part of it we saw last week, how the energy from heart is transferred the mm, to the brain, and from brain how this the consciousness is spread throughout the body. And here there is a mention of the atomic particles are like parts of sunshine molecules. They are like atomic parts of Supreme Lord. So we are all parts of Supreme Lord Krishna. So yeah, so this is 2.17. Let us go to 2.18. Antavanta ime deha nitya shokta sharirina anasina aprameyasya tasmat yuddhaista bharata. So the previous shloka talked about spreading of the consciousness in the body, which is pervading the body, and anything that pervades the body is consciousness. But if something penetrates and makes the body unfittable or unfit for living, then the soul departs, consciousness leaves the body. So that is what we were talking about. Now we are majorly talking about the material body. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. So material body is possessed by uh, something. So the material body is going to come to an end, but the soul is eternal, immeasurable, indestructible. So, um, so we need not. So Arjuna need not have to worry about um, the soul, because the material body is perishable by nature. So Prabhupada is writing this. It may perish immediately or it may do after 100 years. It is question of time. There is no chance of maintaining it indefinitely. But the spirit soul is so minute that it cannot even be seen by an enemy, so to say nothing of it being killed. So we need not have to really worry about the body. So so there is no way in which we can maintain the body indefinitely. We are all born with death sentence on our head. So material existence itself means we have to die at some point of time, at some point of in this world, and at some point in the world and some point of time. So how long we are going to live, we do not know. Everything in this world has an expiry date. This material body also has an expiry date. It will come to an end anytime. So only thing we need to do is we need to understand that we are not this body and engage in activities which will deliver us from this cycle of birth and death. So one interesting word that is used here is aprameyasya, which is immeasurable. In the previous verse, Prabhupada has mentioned the size of the hair as 1/10,000th of the tip of the hair. But in immediately in this verse, we see aprameyasya. So what does this mean? So we can understand it in at least three different ways. One is soul as dimensions, but these dimensions are not material, it is spiritual dimensions. And this dimension that Prabhupada is talking about, or the Upanishads are talking about, is not, it cannot be measured by material instruments. So, and third one, it is, so it is not the material fact. It is so it is a spiritual measurement. It is too small for any instrument to measure, and since it's a spiritual, material instruments cannot measure it. So these are the three important things that we need to understand. So now we need to understand one more thing: indestructible. That is one more word that we talked about is indestructible. How is this indestructible and immeasurable related with one another? So in Bhagavad Gita, we see that um, Bhishma was shot with thousands of arrows on his body. So those arrows were so close that we could not put finger on his skin, on Bhishma Pitama's skin. So then the soul was still intact in the body. So that means what? Uh, the arrows could not penetrate the soul, or the soul is still is still indestructible. So it is so minute. The soul is so minute that in spite of so many arrows penetrating the body, it could not it could not kill the destroy the soul. So in 2.18, uh, Krishna as so here now we have been seeing the we have been seeing body, soul, consciousness, and so on. So these were the things. But here Krishna is giving a straight instruction. Tasmad Yuddhaisva Bharata. So in scriptures, there are two types of instructions. One is a direct instruction, and another one is indirect instruction. So, for example, there is an instruction like Dehino Asmin Yata Dehe Kaumaram Yavanam Jara. This is educational, which tells that the soul is inside the body changes. A sober person does not get bewildered by these changes. So, Arjuna should not lament. So, this is a general instruction. And then there is one more instruction in 2.14 where it is Matra Sparshas Kaunteya. So this is also instructional. But there are some instructions which are action oriented. If we go to a doctor, yeah, I am suffering from a disease, I go to a doctor. The doctor gives, first he asks and then he narrates what is the problem with me, and then finally he gives medicine. So the narration of the disease is instructional. but the action is that I need to take the medicine, so that the curing of disease happens. So same way, there are instructions which are just informations for us to improve our knowledge, but there are some instructions which we need to put it in action. So here we now know that the body is going to die anyway. There is life is no it's matter of time. uh, so body is going to live only for a duration of time. Soul is anyway not going to get killed. So what, this is the news. Now what we need to do, we need to fight. So Arjuna has to fight, so that is the action that is required from him. So we need to see in our when we read the scriptures, some actions we need to implement in our life. Yeah, so we go to next sloka. Ya enam veti antaram yaschainam manyate atam ubhavtaunau vijanito nayam hantina hanyate. So neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge. For the self not nor is slain. So here, what does Krishna is meaning here? Soul is neither a killer nor it is getting killed. So when Arjuna is killing his relatives, um, how do we understand it? So if somebody is killing a warrior in the battlefield, is it the soul or something else? So when soul in the body is getting separated at the time of death, that is an unavoidable situation. So anyway, it has to leave. And when this happens during the execution of karma, then there is no problem associated with that. Or we should not think, Arjuna should not think that it is because of him that death is happening, the death of the warriors are happening. Then it becomes like kartaham iti manyate. So this means that body is perishable, and Arjuna is Kshatriya. So Arjuna has to do the duty, but he has to do the duty understanding that body is going to anyway die, and he has to follow the instruction of Krishna and help Krishna in establishing dharma, the rule of dharma in the world. So that should be the focus of Arjuna. Now there is Prabhupada is telling that there is a Vedic injunction which says that Ma imsayet sarva bhutani, never commit violence to anyone. If he kills someone without proper sanction of authority, then it is sinful. But when we kill it as a part of our duty, then it is not whimsical, but it is supporting the cause of Dharma. So that is what we need to understand. Okay. Najayate Miryate, text 2.20. Najayate Miryate Vakajachin Nayam Bhutva Bhavita Vanabhuyaha Ajo Nityam Shashvatam Yam Purano Na Hanyate Anyamane Sharire. So Najayate. So for the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. So this is something on time. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So Najayate means he is never taking birth. Aja also means he is unborn. So these two words we need to understand. So anything that has birth means it comes into existence at some point of time and exit at other point of time. Soul is beyond these dimensions of time. That is what we that is why the word aja is referred. Aja has not come in. Aja means soul has not come into existence at any particular time. It means it has not come to birth. So, what is Krishna trying to do here? Krishna is following the Upanishadic strategy of Naiti Naiti. So the jnanis and also sometimes devotees do follow this for introspection. So when we do an introspection, am I body? I ask a question. Am I body? Am I air? Am I the mind? Then I say, I am not body. I am not the bodily air. I am not mind. Then what is that I am? So this gradual negation results in gradual affirmation. So I negate and then gradually affirm. So negation of material paves the way for affirmation of spiritual. This is philosophical introspection through negation. What characterizes the body does not characterize the soul. This is something which we need to understand. Body takes birth, soul is unborn. Body is measurable, soul is immeasurable. By gradual negation, Krishna is bringing the importance, that is difference between body and soul. And by doing this, he ensures that the body and soul never mix with one another, but by consciousness. So this is what we need to understand here. So najayate means never takes birth. So now in this next few minutes, we should understand something about Buddhism and Christianity. It's a long discussion that we will have now. So it is very interesting to understand how this Krishna consciousness philosophy, which is propound, which is told in Bhagavad Gita, is so positive. It inspire us to love and feel so good about Krishna. This is required because we need to know how other religions have understood the concept of rebirth, reincarnation, and soul. So the concept of soul is there in all religions, but the concept is very easy. If we consider Abrahamic religions like Judaism, Christianity, Islam, they are all history centric. Say, for example, Moses select some chosen people from Egypt and they moved to Jerusalem. Jesus came to birth and then there was resurrection. Then Prophet Muhammad was there who came and he was resurrected. Then, so the Christianity, if you see, the concept of soul is metaphorically a non-material essence of us. So this means, what does this mean? So within Abrahamic religions also, say in Christianity it is a non-material essence. In Islam and in Judaism also there are many denominations and ideas, but there is no much self-knowledge in the scriptures and the oral tradition. So this they refer only as a metaphor, and there is no non-material essence in that is very meager. On the other hand, Vedic literatures treat soul ontologically, as a higher dimension entity. Ontological means which is pertaining to reality or pertaining to existence. So according to Vedas, soul is literally a higher dimensional entity. It is actual being, not an easy conception. So, reference to soul metaphorically, reference to soul, like some people say, love God with all thy heart and all thy soul. This means we should love Him wholeheartedly. Here we are referring heart, which is the seat of all emotions, and soul, which is also a part of thinking or part of emotion center. Then we use the same thing in Bhagavad Gita also. Buddha bhava samanvita sarva bhavena bharataha. Buddha Bhava Sarva Bhavena. Soul also therefore refers metaphorically to so this essential being or consciousness into it. So this conception of soul is in practice in Vedic religion. Now, if you take Buddhism, Jainism, Hinduism, Sikhism, these are also based on historical events, but the focus and search is on basic principle of Dharma, universal principles that link the universe and then harmonize our life with those principles. So if you take Buddhism, they have incarnation, but there is no soul. If we ask question what it reincarnates, they say that there is no such thing that goes from one body to another, as there is no such thing as well. So our sense of meanness or highness is just a residue of flow of consciousness. This is moving, since this is moving like a river, there is no life even right now. So there is just a stream of consciousness which continues to exist even in the next life. So Buddhism does not tell what reincarnates. So this non-existence of reincarnation, concept of reincarnation, has stymied the Buddhists for millennia. This philosophy, where there is no soul, is called as Anarthavada. So there is a debate among the Buddhists as well on this topic. Buddha rejected Vedas, and his main purpose was to stop the prevalent animal killing in the name of sacrifices, which was soon after at the end of Dwapara Yuga or the beginning of Kali Yuga. So he had to convince people to reject Vedas. So there was a misunderstanding of Vedas. So easiest way to is to denounce Vedas. So that is what Buddha. Buddha did when in his incarnation. So people at that time reduced the purpose of Vedas, which is a wide book of knowledge, to just karma kanda or practice of sacrifice to get material benefit. We need to understand that without Vedas, we cannot worship Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, though Buddha denounced Vedas, he also did not dwell much on metaphysical topics. He only put many things in practice which are moral based. So when somebody asked Buddha, who are you? So Buddha said, I am awake. There was no definite answer. And we can see in another instance, he was questioned by a junior disciple, are you a body or are you soul? Buddha did not give an answer. He just remained silence. So though that junior disciple goes away, then the senior disciple asking Buddha, then Buddha he replied that the person was asking this question from the platform of ignorance. So whatever Buddha is going to tell, the disciple will never understand, and this will only enforce ignorance. Hence, no, Buddha did not answer at all. Buddha generally avoided all metaphysical topics. He focused only on morality. Thus, Buddhism is like sattvic thoughts, sattvic action, sattvic speech. So, a sattvic culture that brings people to level of goodness. That means eventually, if they get Vedic wisdom, they can easily understand it and go back home, back to Godhead. So that is how Buddha framed this religious thing. So the Buddhism is a pre-theistic religion. It is not an atheistic religion. It's a pre-theistic religion. Buddha never rejected the thought of God. He did not talk about God much, but he focused more majorly on morality, do things to improve the behavior. So So Buddhism completely rejects any metaphysical concept. Thus, subsequent generations in the Buddhism imported thoughts from other traditions which were not originally Buddhism at all. So there are two principal things. One is atheism. In Buddhism itself, there are two principal things. One is atheism, and the other is rejection of soul. So what does this mean? It means that Buddhism emerged as a rebel tradition from Hinduism. There was only Hinduism at the time. Okay, there is. Let us take Hinduism is a word coined by the Islamic rulers who came to India. Hinduism. Let us take Vedic culture or religion. Principally, Buddhism is a revolt against Vedic caste system and Vedic authority. So it established an independent body of thought which is against the set Vedic authority and Vedic caste system. So it wanted to establish a independent autonomy, and then subsequent generation have come up with various absurd ideas, and one such idea is this anarthavada. So this is Buddhism. So Buddhism does not clearly tell what is soul and what is consciousness. They do not know if we are not going to reincarnate, what is that we are doing here and where we will go after death. This is not clear, and the conception of consciousness is also not clear. Now why we are discussing this, when like Krishna is telling naiti naiti, we'll tell no Buddhism, no Christianity, then Krishna consciousness, then we know the value of Krishna consciousness. So in that way I like to touch on this Christianity also. Christianity, they accept soul, but they do not accept reincarnation. So, so they consider soul as a semi-eternal. Current day Bible does not have any reference to reincarnation. When we see the older versions, there is implicit references for reincarnation. There are references which says that many prophets who were there in Christianity were reincarnation of previous prophets. And there is an anecdote where a blind man comes to Jesus and prays to him. So Jesus says that this man is blind because of his misdeeds or his parents' misdeeds. In this episode, Jesus actually removed the blindness of the blind man. So, so this is to demonstrate his extreme mercy, that God is merciful, God's representatives are merciful. But Jesus did not. Uh, Jesus did not answer the philosophical question why he was blind and how the blindness of this person could be cured permanently. Um, so so he did not. Jesus did not refute the idea that the person who was blind himself is a reason for his blindness. Now, if we ask a question, how a person who does not have who was just born from his mother's womb, how he could be born blind? He did not have any sharp objects in his hand. He or there was no poison gas. Um, then his mother was also eager to get a very healthy child. Then why he was born blind? Christianity does not answer this. We need to understand two more terminologies related with reincarnation. One is called pre-existence, and other one is afterlife. That means now I am there. Before this life, I had a pre existence. After I die, I have an afterlife. That means I am moving from body to body. So I do not know what was my previous body, but there is a previous existence or pre existence. I will don't know what body I will get there. Therefore, after this life, there is another life. That is afterlife. So, according to Christian tradition, there is no pre-existence. So, Jesus, when he tells that the blind person is responsible for his blindness, gives us a we need to give a understanding. We need to understand how we can become blind. So, incarnation. So, without incarnation, reincarnation, this concept is not possible to explain. We'll talk about this little later. This conception of reincarnation was completely removed from the Christian tradition. So this is not accepted today. Reincarnation is not accepted today. Now, if you see, there is a very good book written by one of our devotees, disciples of Srila Prabhupada. His name is Satyaraj Prabhu. He is a very scholarly disciple, and he has talked about reincarnation, and in his book called Reincarnation Controversy. If you get a chance to read this book, please read it. I had taken some notes from this books to support our this Bhagavad Gita shlokas. So in this book, he gives a complete account of concept of reincarnation, how concept of reincarnation was banished from Christian belief during the Constantine rule. So if you see, Christianity is, we do not know whether it's really religion or it is born of politics. So Western philosophers always coin new words. So one such word is theopolitics. This is spirituality. I don't say spirituality, religion and politics. During the Roman period, the Roman Empire was spread all over Europe and Middle East, including Jerusalem. Initially, Christian missionaries were dominant in Jerusalem area. They moved all over the Europe and were preaching. So when they were preaching, they were prosecuted no, by the or persecuted by the Romans because they were unnecessarily preaching. Then up to third century, this Christian missionaries were trying their best to preach in Europe and in the Roman Empire, and they were getting persecuted. In fourth century or so, the Roman Empire got completely collapsed, and this happened because of their internal decay. Um, so now the king required uh, a rule which is moral based, and he wanted to bring morality in the people. It is easy to manage people who are moral. Therefore, the Roman Empire or the emperor at that time used Christianity as a tool to bring morality in the people. So he declared Christianity as a official religion. Then Christianity moved from being persecuted to being in power. It is irony that Christians did the same thing to all other religious people, what was done to them. So they persecuted the heathens, Jews, and many other religions which coexisted with them. And this happened for almost thousands of years, 1,000 years, at least 1,000 years. So there is something called as Inquisition, which is a judicial procedure um, established by the Pope or the Catholic Church, and to combat the heretic beliefs or heresy. So that way, there was one thinker called Giordano Bruno who talked about immortality of soul. So he was burnt alive. So the religion of peace has burnt many people. The Roman Empire did not use Christianity for philosophical fidelity nor for following Christianity accurately. The primary focus was political expediency, which will make life of king convenient to maintain the government. So he wanted good rule, hence basic morality. So the basis of adapting Christianity as an official religion is bringing morality. So what he did, he said that uh, give people only one chance of life so that they will become moral. Otherwise, they will be burnt in eternal hell. Thus, the laws were made with this fear in mind, this fear of God in mind. So the fear of God was brought in to follow the laws of God. So there are significant pieces of evidence available which shows that systematically the sections of Bibles which support reincarnation was completely purged out, downplayed, anathematized. There is one teachings of Augustine. Augustine was Saint Augustine who spoke about reincarnation. So he was anathemized. His ideas were anathemized. So the Christian idea of reincarnation was completely rejected. In Christianity, the idea of reincarnation was completely rejected. The problem with this is that if the concept of reincarnation is removed, many inequalities in the world cannot be explained. For example, why some are born blind, why some are born with good sight, why some are born rich, why some are born poor. There is no such no sane example, no sane reasoning. If we say that there is a previous life and he is getting the results of previous life in the current life, it makes a good sense. So this will make us understand that we are responsible for making the life, uh, and by making choices, we are making better future for us. And accepting God's will becomes no will not become difficult for us. But if God is partial and who can give somebody with eyes and some with no eyes, and with some with riches and some with no riches, then it is very difficult to explain. Let us take for example, there is a football match. The teams are coming to play. It was declared that it is a fair match, but when the teams come to the ground, they see that one team has score of 5 goals and other team has 0 goals. By looking at this, we can conclude only two things, or the players can conclude only two things: either the scoreboard is malfunctioning, or the match organizers have fixed the match. So this means that even if the team works together to score goal, the if the scoreboard is non-functional or functioning wrong, then there is no change in the score, or the score will reduce randomly. This means what? Nobody will be interested to play. So if you take even a recreational activity of football, we see that a good team will score more goals. So there is a cause and effect relationship. So why we should not see this cause and effect in our life? So if random events happen in our day-to-day life, then it becomes very difficult. So this in the case of sports analogy, mismatched scores is like a person who is rich and another person is poor, or one person is blind, another person has a good sight. So this definite this is no this is against the definite order in our day-to-day life. If a student studies well, he is going to get a good marks. And if there is, this means what? There is a good cause and effect relationship. If this is not available, then it is only doctrine of helplessness. It is a belief that there is nothing that anyone can do to improve any situation, improve a bad situation. Now let us take the organizers are biased. Organizers want to fix the match, so God is biased. So it shows that God is not in control. He makes things go wrong, and is also wild. If you ask why, The answer is actually we do not know why God is so out of control. So if we say that it is will of God and we have to accept, then there must be, at least some rules of the game. If God makes someone rich or someone poor randomly, without any discrimination, then it becomes very difficult. So if we say that we cannot understand the will of God, but we must understand that there should be some general understanding which will make the will of God work, or general understanding how the will of God works. So if this understanding comes, then in particular or specific instances, maybe we will not be able to understand. So this general understanding of will of God is required to have a loving relationship with Him, to reciprocate feelings with Him. So this is very, very important. So we discussed two theories. One is God is in control but biased. Second, God is not in control. Everything happens by chance. So this is the broad view of Christianity today. So these two theories has resulted only in atheism. Intellectually, people find it easier to accept that everything happens by chance. But what Krishna is telling here is that there is a third alternative. The score is 5-0 because the team has scored 5 goals in the first half of the game. Now it is going to be the second half of the game, and second half of the game, the scorecard is being seen there. If someone is wealthy, he has done something in his previous life, and his previous life score, which is karma, is carried to his current life. This understanding makes the point that there is a controller and he doesn't act by chance. Further, we get an understanding that we get what we deserve, and we deserve based on our action. This is sanity restoring and hope engendering explanation. Sanity restoring because there is a definite law of governance, and there is a order, and there is God in control. But it is also engendering hope because it gives me a feeling that if I act correctly, God will give me a result based on that. So all these discussions helps us to move towards an understanding that soul and incarnation has a positive impact, and this understanding brings relief to us that there is a hope in this world. Now, if we pray to God, problems can be solved in our life. So this understanding makes the conception of life much better. So going back to the point of eternal in Christianity, they say that every time a man and woman unite, a soul is born. And if the soul accepts Jesus as the God, then he goes to heaven forever. Otherwise, he goes to hell and burnt. So there is serious concern here that what will happen. Serious concern about the kindness of the God. What will happen to the people who have never heard about the name of Jesus in life? So they will be thrown into hell forever. So it is not my problem that he has put me in a place where the name of Jesus was never heard. So this is absurd. The other thing is, what will happen to the souls who came before Jesus? Once again, it is absurd. They cannot give a answer. So whoever is born before Jesus definitely goes to hell. And sometimes they say that the soul has to be born and then he has to accept Jesus as the savior. And Jesus is the only way to go to heaven. So if the embryo is aborted, he has never heard about Jesus. Since he is unborn, he is sinless. So if we ask only a born child is sinful, so he has to accept Jesus as the savior. So if something is unborn, it is sinless. So if we ask them, why don't we abort all the embryos so that everyone goes back home, back to God or back to Jesus? So abortion is the best policy. So this also is complete absurdity. Um, Therefore, our concept of Krishna consciousness, that we engage in service of Supreme Personality of Godhead, we have a problem of birth, death, old age, and disease. We need to understand this. If we understand this and make our actions focused for serving Lord and His devotees, chanting, then this is simple. No, Prabhupada has given us a simple formula: chant 16 rounds, follow 4 regulatory principles, attend Mangalarti, have a definite service, have a definite plan of reducing material engagements, engage gradually, increase the level of spiritual engagement. If we do this, then definitely we can go back home, back to God. We can go back to we have at least we will get a proper understanding of what Krishna consciousness is all about. I stop here. If there are any questions, we can open for questions. I thought since there is a continuity of thought, I thought it is better to just go ahead, finish the explanation, Prabhu. So we can now go for question and answer session. Please ask questions if there are any. We can probably extend for a few 5 minutes more.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, a couple of things that come to mind. Let's see how much we can discuss as the time is running short. But first of all, I was just wondering, as you were mentioning about the negation process, the 1990, and how one could somehow ascend through that. But how, in if in practical terms, how would it be possible to cross over the mental plane, as we have in Western philosophy the famous name of Descartes, who had this method of skepticism, starting to doubt everything, and finally he ended up with I think, therefore I am. So that would, at least to me, it sounds like one accepts oneself as the thinking processes, or in other words, the mind.
Prabhu, Nahiti means it straight away tells that I am changing. We can just go with the following. So Dehino Asmin Yata Dehi Kaumaram Yavanam Jara. I was born as a small child. Now I was a boy, and then I became a young man. Now I am old man. I'm going to die. I'm seeing the changes in the body, but the soul remains intact. And then I see that this is not only happening to me, it is happening to others also. I see that there is a lot of parity among the people, and this parity, why is it happening? So is this the reason? Is the governance a reason? If the governance is in India bad, then I take one of the good countries in the world and I see compare them. I see that even if the governance is very good or a socialist setup or equal right or equity everywhere, that is also not solution. And that we see also in case of Arjuna. He says that any level of material prosperity is not going to solve the problem. So, strong body, will it solve the problem? Arjuna was Kshatriya, it could not solve the problem. Unrivaled kingdom, can it solve problem? No, it cannot solve problem. A good education, no, it cannot solve problem. A good economics, no, it cannot. So then, what can solve problem of life? So we reject this. This is introspection. We reject each one of this. So there are different philosophers available. So this Naiti is a Upanishadic. That means to come to that level, we require a very higher level of intelligence. So that is why our idea of distributing books. Prabhupada's books is to improve the intelligence of people so that they will understand that material prosperity, education, all this will never solve the problem. Surrendering unto Krishna and the devotional process is the only way to solve the problem. Then we accept the spirituality. We have tried all these ways, now nothing works. Okay, let us try this because this is coming from a parampara, sadhu sampradaya shastra. So we adapt this spirituality. This is in today's practical application. We need not have to go to very high level philosophy because we don't know the nuances in the philosophy, but what we see and in first principles, that if we understand, then we know that Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita has all the solutions required um, for fighting in this world and go back home, back to God.
So, do I get the correct understanding that in order to cross the mental plane, one has to take shelter of the Shastra? Otherwise, there is no chance.
No chance. Because right now the philosophies are all split, all are because we have cheating propensities, imperfect senses, prone to get illusioned, and so this there's one more four defects. These defects are prevalent in all the philosophies. So one is prone to make mistakes, imperfect senses, prone to get illusion, cheating propensities. These four will will this arise because we are envious of Krishna, and as long as we are envious of Krishna, the philosophies will not solve problems of life. So this is the reason why no philosophy works. It is only Krishna consciousness which works.
Yes, well, that settles it nicely. But Prabhuji, I would have another question if I can ask for a
Yeah,
couple of
please,
more.
bro. Yeah.
So, well, all of us, sorry, all of us understand what is violence, violence to the body, violence or offenses to the mind. But what is violence to the soul?
Violence to the soul is okay. So this is called as atmaha, self-suicide. That is, if we are not surrendering to Krishna, that is suicidal. Reason is नेह विक्रमनाशास्ति प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते सुव अल्प अपियस्य धर्मस्य त्रायते महत्वभयात्. What is suicidal? Uh, this small endeavor is going to prevent us from greatest danger. So this greatest danger, if we are not able to avoid, then we are going to glide down to deepest regions of hellish planets. So deepest, that means what? We will give up this human form of life and become animals. When we become animals, we have a higher suffering in our life, more suffering in our life. So if you are born dog, it's very difficult. It's a sinful life. Um, if you are born as a worm in stool, our level of enjoyment is not correct. So this is suicidal, and if we are not able to understand that service to Krishna will protect us from going down to the lower level, lower species of life, that is the violence to the soul. So, Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarvabhutanam Nyatma Shantim Rachati. Peace. What is peace? Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam. Who is the enjoyer of Yagna and Tapasa? Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. He is, Maheshwaram is the ruler or the controller of the Sarvaloka, all lokas. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Suhridam is the well-wisher. Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam, for all living entities. Nyatva, one who knows this. Shantim Rachati, he gets peace. So the peace formula is this. So Krishna consciousness, this understanding we will get only by reading Prabhupada's books. And when we do this, why we get peace? We know that after death, we are not going into lower species of life. We are not going to come to human form of life also, because birth, death, old age, disease in any form is very difficult. Ye samsare bahu dushtare kripaya pahe pari murare. So Adi Shankara is praying to Murari. I have born multiple times in different wombs. I know that this place is worst place. Kripaya pahe pahi murare. He is praying to him to please give his mercy so that he can go back home, back to God. So that is how we should pray. So this knowledge comes only from reading Prabhupada's books, and that is why Prabhupada always has told books are the basis. So we need to read Prabhupada's books, internalize this philosophy, then only our knowledge goes. This knowledge will come. When knowledge comes, then our understanding becomes imbibed in us. So that even when we are born, God forbid, we are not born again. But if we are born, we will start from that knowledge very well. So we'll catch Krishna consciousness early in our life, and become dedicated in the early part, from the early part of our life, Prabhu. So Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Surdam Sarvabhutanam Nyatva Mam Shantim Rachati. This is the formula for non-violence or peace in the world.
That is very good. For the sake of clarity, Prabhuji, so is it the correct understanding that violence to the soul can only be self-inflicted? Inflicted?
Violence to the soul is
Can
self-inflicted.
can a person commit some violence to other one's soul, as you were describing, that if this case of Atmaha, or if we are not spending this lifetime properly, then that is obviously violence. But is there any case where a soul or a person could commit violence to another other person or soul?
Yeah, so if you see, this Satyam Daya Tapa Saucham. So that mercy, Satyam Daya, Daya is mercy, and this is coming by stopping meat eating. So if we, if we are violent to others, the mercy in us goes off. So we could be violent in our habits, which causes killing of other animals. So, but Prabhu, all this, even in the meat eating, results only in violence to us. We only will go down to Trivida Naraka Shadyam Dwaram Nashanam Atmana. Trivida Naraka Shadyam. So three routes to the hell. So Kama Krodha Loba. So it is lust, anger, and greed. So it is self-inflicted, definitely. In divine and demonic natures, I think 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling about the Kama, Krodha, and Lobha, which are the paths to hell, and these are characteristics of a person. Like Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam, there is one shloka which tells the path to hell. Yes, Prabhu, it is self-inflicted.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Kala Mataji, you are joining from Bangalore or
Hare Krishna,
from
Prabhuji. I'm from Bangalore, Prabhuji. I'll
okay,
attend your Sunday's class, Prabhu.
okay.
Huh. Today is my first class.
Oh, very nice, Mataji.
Just listening what and all yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining today, because there is a Brahmotsavam in our temple, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
That is why,
Everybody, they are there actually.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, this comes in YouTube,
Huh.
so we will be able to, everybody can see it in the YouTube.
Okay, Prabhu.
Hmm?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Any other point, Prabhu? Uskari Prabhu?
Not for now, Prabhuji.
Okay.
All set.
Okay. Mataji, you have any questions?
As of now, no, Prabhu. I was just listening. I'm learning now.
Okay. How
No.
long you have been into Bangalore temple?
From past 2 years, Prabhu.
Okay, Mataji. Because this class, I also wanted to introduce
Mm-hmm.
the people, because we are meeting, we must know each other. We must know the team from Finland, devotees from Finland, devotees from Bangalore. So that no, it would make a good association. That is why I thought. Anyway, people have not joined. Devotees have not joined. So
Okay,
we will
Prabhu.
do it next class. No
Yes,
problem.
Prabhu.
Okay. Hare Krishna. If there is nothing, then thank you very much. Vacha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। ग्रंथराज भगवद गीता की जय। जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि हरि
Hari
हरि
Hari Bol.
Hare,
कृष्णा हरे
Hare
कृष्णा।
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.